Professor Jag, week 2, lecture 2, second part of lecture 2. This is chapter 5, the chapter on groups. Okay, the first part was chapter 3 and chapter 4, socialization and social structure, respectively. And this is then the second part, chapter 5 and groups. Okay, so what is a group? Okay, what is a group, huh? Well, here we go. Okay, you have a chart. We have a slide here. Is defined as a collection of humans who share certain characteristics, interact with one another, accept expectations and obligations as members of the group, and share a common identity. Accept expectations and obligations as members of the group, and share a common identity. Remember that in chapter 4 we talked about how the role that the individual plays in the given group, thanks to the status he or she has. It's an obligation then. These are expectations and responsibilities. So it's applicable then to this chapter as well. Same thing we're talking about. Different types of groups here that we have. We're not gonna get into it. This is not the emphasis of the lecture. We're gonna go ahead and talk more about small groups and large groups, the dynamics of small groups versus the dynamics of larger groups. Okay. So let's see. The next slide tells me that we have two types of groups, of small groups: dyads and triads. A dyad is a small group composed of 2 people. A triad is a small group composed of 3 people. A small group is a collectivity small enough for all members to be acquainted with one another and for them to interact all at the same time or simultaneously, right? So this is the what's significant about small groups. The communication flows better, and so that everyone is participant. And may be all at the same time. While in larger groups, you don't have that special feature, right? Because not everyone can be talking all at the same time and expect there to be order and control, right? So it happens in small groups, right? Okay. So then, like I said earlier, dyads and triads are very small groups. The smallest of all the smallest groups you can have, right? Because it consists only of 2 and 3 members, right? Now, as the group size increments more than 3 members, so does the need of the group and the requirement of structure to maintain the group. So one of these needs is group leadership in order to maintain and to have structure. Okay, so now different types and different styles of leaders. The 2 types of leaders that the text discusses is instrumental and expressive. Instrumental, goal or task oriented, versus expressive is the one that provides emotional support for its members. Now, the personality of the instrumental leader should be authoritarian. It coincides with objectives and it coincides with goals, right? The personalities or the objectives of the objective of the expressive leader coincides with a democratic personality or a laissez-faire personality. You see? So then you see the extremes right here, right? Authoritarian personality versus laissez-faire, which is whatever type of personality. And then quite in the middle, you have someone democratic, someone that is based on what the people want, based on the supporting but also implementing instruction, implementing regulations and rules, while at the same time not being so harsh on the group members that compose the group. Yeah, both extremes there. Then you have the one in the middle, but the middle one, democratic and laissez-faire, coincide better with the expressive type of leader. So it all depends what kind of leader you are, right? I mean, if you're an instrumental leader, most of the time, if not all of the time, you'll probably have a rough personality. You have to get things done right on time, and it's not about emotion. It's not about being impersonal. It's not about taking things personal. It's about being impersonal. Thanks to the bureaucracy, right? So impersonality is one of these characteristics of a bureaucracy that we'll discuss in a couple of seconds or minutes right now from now. Harmony within groups, well, it's one of the biggest problems. There's conflict, that there's all the time conflict that groups experience in society within the group and among groups. Race, social class, other variables like gender, causes a lot of commotion, right? There is a lot of competition many times within the group. There are a lot of ideas that are not conveyed properly. People have different ideas and they don't assert. This is why we need a group leader. This is why we need a formal structure, right? And we'll talk about formal structure in a second here, right? Okay, so I have a quiz right here. Now, a study from 1 to 10. Go ahead and test yourself, okay? And then get the answers, okay? Nah, just kidding. This is not a real quiz. This is more of a trivial quiz, okay? I have the answers on the next slide. So you don't have to worry about answering these correctly and having them ready for me for 10 points. You don't have to do that. It's not part of this contract. If you look at my syllabus and if you look at what this class is about, it's a learning experience. Yes, I'm going to test you, yeah, but we only have the midterm and we have the final. You don't have to worry about pop quizzes or quizzes. My objective is not to fail you, right? But this is information that I do want you to know, and you must know, okay? Because I'm giving you the questions, but then I'm giving you the answers on the next slide. So the answers, both the answers and both the questions and answers are given to you, and I just may use one of these for the midterm or maybe even final. Okay, so just get to know these 10 questions and the answers for these 10 questions. Now, here are the answers, and the best thing of it is that you not only have the answer, but you have an explanation to the answer. Okay, so for example, for number 4 or whatever, number 8 or whatever, right? For number 9, the answer is true, and then not only do you have the answer, you have the explanation. You have it explains why it's true, right? Same thing for number 2, for number 10, and all of the questions there that you have there have the answer and have the explanation for the answer. So this is on sexual harassment. It's a quiz for sexual harassment, right? And within organizations and even within smaller groups, you have a lot of discrimination that goes against the largest minority of all. And the largest minority of all is women. Women happen to be the largest minority, a lot larger than race or ethnicity. Why? Because women, you have women in different ethnic groups. Women encompass race, encompass economic, social class, race and ethnicity, right? And so this is the largest minority group, and therefore it's one of the hottest and worst things that we sometimes have to discuss in groups, which is discrimination against women. And this definitely when it comes to formal organizations, right? Micro-sociologically, small groups are the primary group. Macro-sociologically, large groups are known more like large institutions now as a secondary group of people, right? It's larger, right? It's a formal organization now. So for this, Max Weber developed the ideal bureaucracy, right? The most universal or organizational form in government, business, education, religion, at least, is the bureaucratic model, okay? In his study of bureaucracies, Max Weber relied on an ideal type analysis, which he adapted from the field of economics, where Weber abstracted the most characteristic bureaucratic aspects of religious, educational, political, and business organizations put into one ideal type. And this is definitely very well acceptable and digestible by organizations because it puts things in a very clear-cut sort of a way. Division of labor, the 5 characteristics is a division of labor, hierarchy of authority, rules and regulations, qualification-based employment, and impersonality. So, these 5 are Weber's ideal bureaucracy type. And these protect the rights of the worker while maintaining stability and harmony within the group, right? And so this is why we have them. I mean, it's supposed to protect the individual and to respect the individual based on the roles that this individual carries, the obligations. So these 5 characteristics protect the individual. Anyways, these 3 chapters, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5, are altogether one large theme, which is society and social structure, and groups are the best demonstration of social structure. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you hear me next time.